Hi friends, today let us start with our law paper. Okay, let me give you an introduction about the law paper, the way, the weightage and the manner you have to study. I have already given briefly in a other video, but I am also discussing about the little bit of details in the law paper as well. Now, in the law paper, it is of total 100 marks and it is totally descriptive in nature that you have to write. Okay, now some questions will be direct questions and some questions are asked in the form of case laws. Now, direct questions you can answer directly, like you are just asked what are the essential elements of a contract. So directly you can write the code, the points one behind the other, and you can complete the answer. And in case laws, you are given a situation and you have to answer what will you do, or according to law, what is the answer, what remedies you can provide to that person in the case of this situation that you have to answer. I'll show you the case law while doing it. But I'm telling you can get some direct questions and some case law questions as well. Now there is a format of writing case laws as well that I will be discussing with you later while we start the course. Okay. Now the main important thing in law is the revision of at least 3 times is very compulsory before you go to your examinations. Now, when I am discussing this, when I am taking up the law classes, what is important for you to note down all the glossaries in one side, because there are many terms which will be coming in your law paper that you will not be knowing. Many new terms will come. So that terms with meanings you have to write on one side of your paper, because while studying, while revising, you will not be knowing what is the meaning of this word. Then you can directly refer to that glossary section and find out the meaning of that word. Okay, the second point you have to take care of is write all the case laws in one paper. Write case laws at one side, write all the glossary at one side. Case laws, and in short form, this case law is related with what? That we will write. Okay, so what top points you have to take care before we start the law? Write all the glossary at one side, write all the case laws at one side. Now, and very importantly, revise what has happened in the class on the same day after going home. Okay, that's the important thing. I'll let you listen to the class first, then after you go back to the home, revise the concepts what is taught in the class on the same day. And let me tell you, revision of at least 3 times is necessary for you to complete the law paper. Okay, so please revision, make sure you revise at least 3 times before going to exams. That's my opinion and recommendation, strong advice. Okay, because many people face the difficulties in law. We will try to make it very easier. We'll try to explain the concepts in a much easier way, but still you have to do your job. I'll do my job to my best, you will also have to do your job to the best. Only then we can clear the examinations. You can clear the examinations in your first attempt. Now, our chapter 2, let me start with the chapter 2, Indian Contract Act 1872. Now, this chapter, weightage of this chapter is around 20 to 22 marks. Okay, so around 20-25 marks can also be asked from this chapter. Totally, we have 8 units. Okay, not 8. I think there are total 9 units. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, newly introduced 3 units. So, totally, there are 9 units. We have half of the law is this chapter. The other half of the book is the remaining chapters. The full half book is this chapter only. So this is the major portion in your syllabus. Okay. Chalo. With all this advices and information in mind, let us freshly start with our law chapter 2, Indian Contract Act. Now the word says what? Indian Contract Act 1872. Now, this Contract Act is nothing but a mercantile law or commercial law. It is useful for our day-to-day life, like trade, for commerce industries, trade, business. It is useful in everyday business. Okay, this law is useful. One more thing, this is applicable to whole of India, including Kashmir. This is actually divided into two major sections. One deals with the general principle of contracts and second deals with the special contracts. Okay, section 1 to 75 deals with the general principles, and the remaining sections deals with our special contracts. Okay, this is a brief intro about Indian Contract Act. Now let us come to the main topic, that is, what is a contract? What's a contract? Define. Think of the ideas what you have in your mind. Tell me about contract. What do you think of the contract? Yeah, have you made any contract? Ma'am, we are not. We are just minors, ma'am. We are not even 18. Or some of you might be 18. Okay. Have you made any kind of contract? Think. No, not yet. No. Okay. So, but yes, some of you would have. Hmm? Now, what is a contract? First, let me define it to you. Then you tell me whether you have made it or not. Hmm? Now, according to section 2H, let me change the color. This color is not very good. Pink. Yeah. So 2H of the Indian Contract Act defines contract as an agreement enforceable by law. See, very simple definition. What is a contract? Contract is nothing but what? An agreement enforceable by law. What is given? An agreement. Agreement enforceable by law. Correct? Now, here there are two words. रुक जाओ भाई, change करने दो. Agreement. Now tell me what is meant by the word agreement. What is an agreement? Now tell me, if I promise to you, if you clear your CA exams, if not me, if suppose your father promises you, father promising a son that if you clear your CA exam, I will get you a bike or scooty or any moped. Okay. Father promising a son to buy the vehicle if he passes his CA exams. Is it an agreement? Yes or no? Yes. Some of you are telling yes, some of you are telling no. So half. Correct? So now, yes, it is an agreement. But is it a contract? See, same scenario. Father promising his son to give the vehicle if he passes his CA exams in the first attempt. Okay, is it an agreement? I will say yes. Is it a contract? I will say no. Okay, now let me define what is an agreement. Agreement means what? Agreement means promise or set of promise forming consideration for each other. See, I already have, I guess. Okay. See, every promise or set of promise forming consideration for each other according to section 2E. All the definitions are defined in section 2. Okay, but subsections are different. This is section 2, subsection E. Agreement is defined as what? Promise. One promise. It can be one promise or set of promises. 2, 3, 4 promises also. If you pass your exams, I'll get you vehicle, I'll get you new dress, I'll get you new, what do you want? New mobile. What else? So this set of promises. Your father is getting you what? Mobile, vehicle, and also new dress. Everybody wants this type of father, correct? So now suppose promise or set of promises, but forming what? Consideration for each other. Then it is agreement. Father made you a promise, in return consideration means something in return. Consideration means what? Something in return. You are clearing your exams. In return, he is getting you all this. Correct? So, is it an agreement or not? Because agreement definition says what? There must be promise and there must be consideration. So in this scenario, father buying all the gifts to you, is it not an agreement? Because all the aspects of agreement is fulfilled here. There is a promise and there is also a consideration. So if everything is there, it means it is an agreement. Clear? So it is an agreement. Now, again, let me define what is meant by promise. Let us define this word also. What is meant by promise? What is meant by promise? Promise means the person to whom a proposal is made according to section 2b. Suppose I am making a proposal to a person, and if he signifies his assent thereto, then the proposal is said to be accepted, and the proposal when accepted becomes promise. Now easily I can write promise as it is nothing but proposal plus acceptance. Very simple. See, now proposal plus acceptance. Your father is telling you, I'll get you the vehicles. You will say, okay. You will give the assent to it. You will telling you are agreeing to it. Then it becomes promise. Okay. Person to whom an offer is made, a proposal is made. If he signifies his assent thereto, then it becomes promise. So proposal when accepted becomes promise. Clear? Proposal when accepted becomes promise. And promise having in consideration in return, then it becomes agreement. Are you clear with all the words now? Till here, correct? Chalo. Now, let me define our main term, that is contract. What's meant by contract according to section 2H? It is an agreement. That is also an agreement. But it is what? Very, very important word. It is enforceable by law. Agreement. Agreement तो रहेगा ही. ठीक है. Contract involves agreement. Agreement इरलेबेको. But in addition, what is required there? Enforceability by law. If it means if the person does not fulfill the agreement, you can there will be legal obligations. It means you can take them to the court. Now in this example, what I have given, father, suppose you clear your CA exams, he buys you vehicle, but he does not give you mobile phone, he does not give you dress. Okay, now will you take your father to the court? Will you take your father to the court? No, right? There is no legal obligation, no intention to create legal obligation. It's just social agreement between father and the son. Okay, we don't have any legal obligations here, no legal intentions here. Correct? So when there are no legal intentions involved, then it is not an contract. For a contract to happen, there must be an agreement plus legal intentions should be there. Enforceability by law should be there. If somebody does not follow the agreement, then we should be able to drag him to the court. Only then it is an contract. Understood? That is why I said it is an agreement, correct, but father not, it is not an contract. So father gifting his son some gifts, it is an agreement, correct, but it is not an contract. Why not a contract? Because there are no legal intentions or obligations involved, and hence it is not an contract. It is just an agreement. Okay. Now agreement can be classified. We can tell it is just a social agreement. It is not a legal agreement. Legal agreements are nothing but contracts. Social agreements are nothing but the father gifting his son, like domestic ones. Clear? Are you clear? So let me sum up here again with the 3 words what we have learned today. Number 1 is, what is a contract? According to section 2H, it is an agreement enforceable by law. Gone? Okay, it should go here. It should not come out. Okay, so an agreement enforceable by law is contract. Now what is an agreement? Remember, think what example I have given. Agreement means promise plus consideration. So it means what? promise or set of promises forming consideration for each other is agreement. Now, what is promise? Promise means when to a person whom proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, then the proposal when accepted becomes promise. Are you clear? So if I define in the like mathematical equations, it is nothing but what? Promise plus consideration. Correct? And if I have to define this, I will write it as what? Proposal plus acceptance. If I have to write this, what I will write? Agreement plus enforceable by law. Okay, these are my little bit mathematical equations. So you can even check here, I have written it. Proposal plus acceptance plus consideration becomes agreement, agreement plus enforceability by law. Now, quickly answer the questions. Number 1, don't look at the answer. I'm asking you a question, answer me the question. Answer the question, okay? A agrees with B to sell the car for 2 lakhs to B. Is it an agreement or a contract? A agreeing with B to sell the car for 2 lakhs rupees. Okay. Now this is what? A and B. There is an intention to create legal obligations. Okay. Normally in the question, what you have to see whether if it involves relatives like father, son, mother, daughter, father, husband and a wife. These are all social agreements. If it involves some unknown persons like A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, Nina, Meena, Lina, then these are all legal agreements. Okay, chalo. But you have to see the other elements also. Don't ignore those facts. So A agreeing B to sell car for 2 lakhs. Because we will see all the other things in details later. But for now, social and legal agreement we are trying to understand. Social involves family members. Legal involves other than family, near relations. So A agreeing to with B to sell the car for 2 lakhs. See, you are getting car, you are getting 2 lakhs. There is consideration in return. There is an agreement and it is also enforceable by law. Hence, this is a contract. So number 1 is what? See, he is under obligation to give car. He is under right. He has a right to receive the payment and hence it is an contract. Now, father promising his son to pay him a pocket allowance of 500 per month. And if he refuses to pay later, can son recover the amount? In the court of law, father promised that I will pay you a pocket money of 500 per month. Now he is not paying you the pocket money. Will you take him to the court and recover the amount? No, because it is social agreement. Okay. Now, an obligation to maintain wife and children are outside the scope of contracts. Okay, so these are just what? Social agreements. Now, what is the difference between agreement and contract? Quickly, we will do this. What is an agreement? Agreement definition we are writing. Promise, set or promise. Promise plus consideration. This is agreement plus legal enforceability. Now, scope, it is wider because it includes both legal and social, but it includes only legally enforceable agreements. Third one, here may not create legal obligation, but it necessarily will create legal obligation. Here, all agreements are not contracts, but all contracts are agreements. Please go through once more after you go home. Okay? Next, essentials of a valid contract. Moving on to the next one, essentials of valid contract. Now, for a we have just seen very briefly what is a contract and what is not. Now, let us understand what elements must be present for a contract to be valid. Okay, we have seen in the movies, we have seen in the series. Nowadays, it is series now, not movies. It is series life now, correct? How many of you are watching Netflix? Yeah, Netflix, Amazon Prime. Close all that now. Focus on your studies now. Okay. So now essentials of valid contract. So in the movies we see that if you see some court and lawyer types of movies, they try to prove that the contract was not valid based on some things, correct? So now we will also understand what are the terms, all the valid ones. Then you also use this whenever you come through that situation. Okay, chalo, let us start. See, uh, according to section 10 of Indian Contract Act, it requires these elements must be present. But these things are not given in section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, but they are still very, very essential for a contract to happen. Okay, so we will study both, all the points in detail. Okay, chalo, let's start with the first one. So first one is not according to section 10, but still the essential one. Just a second, I think it's going out. Okay, it is too less. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, so the first one is what here? Two parties. For a contract to happen, it is a common sense. There must be two parties. Can you make a contract with yourself? No, correct? So it's a matter of common sense. Ma'am, what ma'am? This you need not tell also. No, I have to. Now you will come to know why. One cannot contract with himself, correct? There must be at least two parties. But it can be made by a natural persons and other persons having legal existence. Suppose a natural persons like me, and I can make a contract with the artificial person. Who is artificial person? Company, correct? I can make a contract with the company and that will be valid. That is one party and I am one party, two parties. Okay, so I can make a contract with the company, artificial persons as well. But now, very, very important thing, for a sale to happen, there must be two people, correct? There must be one seller, there must be one buyer. In contract of sale, two different person, because a person cannot buy his own goods. Now we have a case law. Write down your first case law. State of Gujarat versus Ramanlal S and Co. I have said you to maintain one section, correct? So maintain it. Write down number one. State of Gujarat versus Ramanlal S and Company. Write down quickly. Write down in your books. Okay, there you can write down the case law is related with what? Write down in the brackets, or in the next line you can write down it is related with two parties. If you get any question related with two parties or any similar one, you have to quote the case law there. Okay. Chalo. And the case law is State of Gujarat versus Raman Lal S and Co. What does this case law say? Let us try to understand what is it telling. Now, suppose where we have things like uh, in partnership business, mainly it is considered for partnership business. In partnership business, partners and the business is not considered different. Usually in the business, what happens, even if it is a sole proprietorship or company or an LLP, what is considered, members are different from the company. Okay, members are different, company is different. So you can make a contract with the company, you can make a contract with LLP, even though I am only the member of the company, but I can still make a contract with the company because company is different, I am different. There are two persons. But in case of partnership, please remember, in case of partnership, Partners are not considered different from the business. Partners and business is same. Okay. Now, what is happening in this case law? Now a partnership is dissolved. The assets of the firm were divided amongst the partners. When the partnership is closing, they will take up all the assets, whatever they have. Correct? Now, when they took up all the assets, now sales tax officer came there. What? You are taking all the assets. It is a sale. He is treating it as sale. On sales, you have to pay sales tax. But in court, what has happened? In the court, they were able to prove that business and partners are not different. There are no two parties. Business is giving to the partners. It is not a sale because there are no two parties here. Business and partners are one, and hence no two parties involved, not a contract, not a sale, and hence no sales tax. Clear? Got it? Clear? Chalo. So that is why I said this is also very important. When you thought it's very easy, correct? So here also we have case law. Okay. Moving on to the next point. Next point what we have is, first valid point was essential element was two parties. Second one is there must be an intention to create legal obligation. In any contract, there must be an intention to create legal obligation. If there is no intention, then no contract. Okay? Intention means our intention should be there to create legal obligations. If you're not performing that contract, I am able to, I have the right to recover the amount. I have the right to take you to the court. That's called intention of creating legal obligations. Correct? पैसा नहीं देगा चल कोर्ट चलते. Okay? So if you can do that, then it is called as intention of creating legal obligations. Chalo. So there must be an intention. Social agreements are not enforceable in court of law because they have no legal intentions. Correct? In social agreements, there will be no intention of creating any legal obligation, and hence social agreements are not contracts. We have one case law, very famous case law, and that is Balfour versus Balfour. You can write down Balfour versus Balfour related with social agreement. Write down please in your section Balfour versus Balfour. You can copy the spelling from here. Balfour versus Balfour. And it is related with what? Social agreement. Return. Okay. Now what has happened? An husband agreed to pay his wife certain amount as maintenance every month. A husband is promising his wife that I'll pay you monthly this much. But husband failed to pay the promised amount. Wife sued. Now husband is not paying the wife. Now wife is trying to sue the husband. Suing means taking him to the court for the recovery of the amount. Can wife recover the amount? No. Why? Because there was no intention to create legal obligation. So hence there is no contract and wife cannot recover the amount. I've already said the relation means any contracts between the families, husband, wife, father, son, they're usually social agreements. Ma'am, if this is there, can every time can we make no type of contract between the families? No, you can make, but there are some rules which we'll discuss later. Okay, for now, just you understand that husband, wife, and father, son, these are all social agreements. If nothing is mentioned in the question, then these are all social agreements. Suppose you get this question. Suppose in the examination you are getting a question like, father promised his son to pay 500 rupees per month. He fails to do so. Now son is suing the father for the recovery of the amount. Can he do so? Now, how will you write? You can use this case law, that is Balfour versus Balfour. So you can mention this case law there. As we have seen in Balfour versus Balfour, there was no intention to create legal relationships, and hence it is not a contract. So same way in this particular scenario also, There is no intention to create legal obligation, and hence it is not a contract. It is just a social agreement. Are you clear? Okay. So in detail, I'll show you exactly how to write it later. But did you get an overall idea? Okay. Chalo. Next, answer the questions soon. I'm giving you 2-3 questions. Answer me quickly. Lekpal promises to pay 5 lakhs to his son if son passes CA exams. Can son claim the money on passing the exams? If father fails to do so, can he? No. Why? Because it is a social agreement. Clear? Next. A sold goods to B that he must pay the amount within 30 days. If B fails to pay the amount, can he recover the amount? Yes, very good. A can sue him in the court of law because there is an intention to create legal relationship. Did you get this? Moving on to the third one, other formalities to be complied with in certain cases. Now, two parties must be there. Second one, there must be an intention to create legal relationship. Third one, what are the other formalities? See, contract can be either oral or written. See, written or spoken. Okay, so contract, if you make a oral contract also, suppose there is A and here I am B. Now, if I make a contract with you, like I want to sell my car for 1 lakh rupees. Okay, if there is an intention to create legally, if there is a particular intention to create it legally and I have just spoken it, then also it is a legal contract. It is not necessary always you have to write down, only then it is a contract. Only oral is also contract. Ma'am, then how do we, then every time we speak and we can make a contract? Yes, definitely. But you should be able to prove it in the court of law. The evidence must be produced, right? So, yes, if you can record it, video record, now you have many options. The point is just you should be able to produce it in the court of law. Okay? Chalo. So contracts can be either oral or written, but in the interest of parties, it must be in written because it is easy to prove. Now, what are the other formalities in some kind of contracts? It is specifically said that it must be in this manner, only then it is valid, otherwise it is not valid. Like in case of movable properties, immovable properties, sale or purchase of immovable properties, it is necessary that the contract must be in written format only. Here, if you make it orally, it is not valid. That is the formality in case of immovable properties. If any kind of contracts have this kind of special formalities, then that should be in that specific manner only. Correct? If it is not in that manner, then the contract is not valid. Clear? See, generally the contract can be oral or written. But in case of immovable properties, it is specifically said that it must be in written format only. If I make that contract oral, then it is not valid. Did you get my point? Okay. Now, any other statutory requirement is there in case of anything? Like suppose they say that when you sign the contract, there must be a witness present. Witness signatures must be also there. Only if we have witness signature, then it is valid. If witness is absent, then it's not valid. Understood? So, some statutory requirements like witness relating to registration in writing or in presence of witness, if any formality is there, that must be complied with. Only then the contract will be valid. If not, then it is invalid. Get it? Now, in contract of insurance also, it must be written form. Okay? Shalom. Contract of insurance, immovable properties requires the contracts to be in written form. That is about the other formalities. Next one, moving on to the next one, that is our certainty of meaning. Very, very important. It comes so many times overall in the chapter. I'll be asking you the question again and again. Okay, then you should be able to tell me like this. How will you tell me? Like this. Okay, what's meant by certainty of the meaning? Certain. What certain? Meaning. The meaning of the contract must be certain. Certain means very clear. When I read this, there must be no confusion at all. Okay, if I'm reading it, I'm able to understand. Suppose I'll give you one example. Many people have seen me getting my bike. Okay, sometimes I get white, sometimes I get red, sometimes I get gray. Now, I am making a contract with you. I am wanting to sell my bike for how much? You tell your choice. So suppose 50,000, okay, you demanded a good amount only. Suppose now I want to sell my bike for 50,000. Okay, in my mind I was thinking of the white bike, but in her mind she was thinking of my brand new gray bike. Now tell me, is this contract valid? We are thinking in our minds, we have not spoken it clearly. I just made the contract. I want to sell the bike for 50,000. Correct? I did not mention which type of bike. She did not ask me. Now tell me. I am thinking of the old one. She is thinking of the new one. Is it valid? No. Because there is a confusion. Which one? Not clear. So the agreement, the terms of the agreement must be certain, definite, clear. It should not be indefinite and vague. Okay, so I should be very clear. See, I want to sell my red bike for 50,000. Then the agreement is certain. Did you get the word meaning of the word certain? Certain means what? Clearly it should be defined. Okay, now tell me. Come on, it must be certain and not vague or indefinite. Now, vague means not clear, indefinite again, not sure which one. So A agrees to sell B 100 tons of oil. Is it valid? Valid? No. Why? Which type of oil? Which oil? Correct? We don't know. But suppose that seller has only one type of oil. In his shop, there is only one type of oil. There is no options of oil. Now, if the agreement is made to sell 100 tons of oil, is it valid? Yes, because it is very clear. He has only one type of oil. There's no other oil here. When it is very clear that he has only one type of oil and there is no other choice to you, it is clear that he is agreeing to buy that definite oil. Okay? Chalo. Next. Possibility of performance. So next essential element is it must be possible. What? Suppose I make an agreement. I will get you a treasure by magic. See, I am promising you to get the treasure by magic. Now, is it possible? Can I perform this? No, because possible. Now, I make a promise that I will pay you 100 lakhs if the sun rises in the west. Can sun rise in the west? So, these are not possible. If so, agreement must be in what kind? It must be, there must be possibility of performance. Only when there is a possibility of performance, then it is valid. If the agreement is such that it is impossible to perform, then it is invalid. Void. The word is void. Okay. Chalo. So agreement should be capable of performance. If it is impossible, then it cannot be enforced. Discovering treasure by magic cannot be enforced because it is not possible to perform. Clear? These were some of the essential elements not required as per section 10 but are still essential. Now we have, as per section 10, what are our essential elements. Okay, let us complete this one, then we will stop today's class. Okay, I think we have how many points? Not much. Let's complete Allah. We'll do it. First one, very simple one. First is offer and acceptance. So offer, there must be an offer, there must be an acceptance. One should give the offer. I want to sell the bike. If I want to sell, there must be someone to accept also, Allah. There must be both offer and acceptance. Okay. So next one, free consent. See, very important, free consent. Consent. You have to remember this word. What is meant by consent? First, let us speak about consent. Consent means, again that word will come. Consent means consensus. Ad idem. It means identity of minds. See, I can define so many things. Identity of minds. Understanding same thing in same sense. I can also tell it as matching of minds. So what is consent? I can define in so many words. You can remember any one of them. Identity of minds, matching of minds. Suppose in the previous example, as I said, I was thinking about white bike, but she was thinking about gray, brand new gray bike. Correct? So now, was there matching of minds? No. So matching of minds means what? Understanding same thing in same sense. What I am thinking, she is also thinking the same thing. Then it is called consent. Now this consent must be, how this consent must be, understanding must be free. Now the word has come free, correct? There must be consent and that consent must be free. Correct? Now free means what? Suppose I come to you and I tell you at a gunpoint, give me your Porsche to me, give me your Lamborghini to me, otherwise I'll shoot you. Now, because of the fear, you will give me that. We have understood same thing in same sense. I'm speaking about that Lamborghini only, and you are also thinking about Lamborghini. I'm also thinking about Lamborghini. Now, because of this fear, you are giving me that. So that consent is considered not free. I can also blackmail you like this. Suppose you don't give me your vehicle, I fail you in the examinations. Because of failing fear, you give me the car. Then the consent is said to be not free. Clear? So see here, the consent. So consent is agreeing same thing in the same sense. There should be identity of minds, consensus item, and such consent must be free. Consent is free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, mistake. For now, you learn all these 5 words, but I will tell you about all these words in detail. Coercion means threatening, influencing. So by misrepresenting, you're trying to induce the other party to make the contract. Then it is said to be contract made not with the free consent. You have to remember these 5 words for sure. Okay, but we will discuss each of this term in detail in the coming units. Okay, consent, did you get it? When the consent he is not giving freely, he is giving under some pressure, then it is not free consent. The pressure is of 5 types: coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation, and fraud. See now, A, who has 2 cars, is selling red car to B, but B thinks he's purchasing black car. Is there consensus side item? No. There is no consensus side item and hence no contract. A threatened to shoot B if he does not give him 2 lakhs. B agreed to give it. Now the contract is under coercion and not a valid one. Did you get the examples? Okay. Chalo. Moving on to the next one. Next one is capacity of parties. Capacity of party is very, very important. Capacity. You should have the capacity to form the contracts. What is meant by the capacity? You should be having the legal ability to enter into the contracts. Okay. There are 3 persons who cannot enter into the contract. The first one is, see, the legal ability of a person to enter into the contract is nothing but the work capacity. Ability to enter in the contracts is my legal capacity. Now, there are 3 persons. Remember this, very, very important. There are 3 persons who cannot enter into the contract. Number 1, minors. Number 1, minors. Number 2, that is below age 18. Next one, persons of unsound mind. Number 3 is disqualified by law. Persons disqualified by law. Other than these persons, all have the capacity to enter into the contracts. Minors cannot enter into the contracts. So if you are below 18, then you cannot make a contract. If you are 18 and plus, only then you can enter into the contracts. Okay, that's why you get your license after 18. Correct? Chalo. Now, person, what is meant by person of unsound mind? Unsound mind. Mind is not sound. You are listening some sounds in the mind. No, ba. Then what is it? Unsound mind means you are not able to understand the terms of contract. Suppose I am totally drunken state, full drunk. What happens in the drunk state? Suppose somebody comes with you a contract. Will you be able to understand that contract? No, correct. So when the person is of unsound mind, the contract entered will be void, invalid. Clear? Okay. Now, disqualified law, there are some persons which law only tells that they cannot make the contracts, like the enemies, the enemy countries, or the enemies which are declared by our nation that these are enemies and you should not, then you should not. If you make, then it is not valid. Okay, foreign sovereigns, ambassadors, there are certain kind of people which the law disregards them, like alien, foreign enemies, convicts are disqualified by law by their status. Suppose convicts, suppose you are proven some crime is proved on you, so you are guilty of the crime, then those convicts cannot enter into the contracts. So in capacity, what you have to remember? You have to remember three things. Who has the capacity? So major, sound mind, and not disqualified by law has the capacity to enter into the contracts. Okay. Now next one is consideration. Consideration I've already defined. It is nothing but what? Quid pro quo, something in return. In contract, there must be something in return. I am giving you car, you are giving me 2 lakhs. I am giving you some goods, you are giving the money for it. So something must be there in return. Okay, any right or interest or profit or benefit accruing to one party and any detriment or loss borne by the other party. There must be something in return. There must be consideration. If no consideration, no contract. Clear? So something must be there in return to form a valid contract. If no consideration, not a contract at all. Clear? So see, A agrees to sell his books for rupees 100. So promise to pay is the consideration to B for rupees 100. Clear? So now last one, the last one is lawful consideration and object. Now, consideration and object both must be lawful. Suppose I tell you that, okay, you give me, I am wanting to sell you bike, but in return, I will give you drugs. I'll give you drugs. Then, is it a valid one? No, because consideration and object both must be lawful, because drugs are illegal in the country. Correct? And hence, it should not involve both consideration, giving thing and something in return, both. See, suppose I am wanting to give the books for 100. Book is object, giving 100 is rupees consideration. Okay, so both must be lawful. Okay, only then the agreement will be valid. So both must be lawful. It should not involve any injury to the person or public, because, or it should not involve any kind of fraudulent activity. Suppose he agrees to sell his bike against 100 kgs of cocaine. Now, is it a valid one? No, because it is illegal in nature. Now, suppose I will drop the prosecution of robbery if you restore the things taken. They are asking you to drop the court law. Any case, if some case is going on in the court, you are asking them to drop the case. Then again, it is not lawful. Clear? Okay. Chalo. Last one, not expressly declared void agreements. Expressly declared void means they are invalid. Expressly government has stated that if you make these agreements, these are unlawful, illegal, void, not enforceable by law. That kind of agreements must not be there. It will be void. Suppose threat to commit murder or making defamatory statements are illegal in nature. If you make a contract to defame someone, if you make a contract to murder someone, if you make a contract to injure some other person, these kind of contracts are never allowed by the government, never allowed by the law. These are expressly declared void, expressly declared invalid, expressly declared not enforceable by law. Okay, so agreements in restraint of trade, marriage, legal proceedings are the classic examples of void agreements. We will see these three words in detail in the coming units. But for now, you remember the example. Okay, let me quickly revise what has happened in today's class with the help of that table which we saw earlier. So, what was the table we had according to section 10 and not as per section 10? So, with all that in mind, let us quickly recap what has happened and then we can close the today's class. See, what's happened according to section 10. Not according to section 10, two parties must be there. One cannot make a contract with itself. There must be an intention to create legal relationship. Here we had state of Gujarat versus Raman Lal case law. Partnership business. Partners and business are not different. Here, social agreements, Balfour versus Balfour. Here, legal formalities, movable properties, insurance contracts requires it in written format. So it must be in written format only. Certainty meaning which bike, which oil, so it must be clear. Possibility, sun rising in the west. Okay. Now, according to section 10, agreement, there must be an offer and acceptance. Free consent, understanding same thing in same size without any pressure, no threatening, no influencing. 5 things you have to remember: coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. It must not be there. Only then the consent is said to be free. Consent means consensus side item, matching of minds, identity of minds. Okay. Competency, 3 parties are considered competent. Who are those? Major, 18 plus. Then sound mind, understanding, he is able to understand the terms of the contract. Next, not disqualified by law. Okay, those are competent, legal ability to enter into the contract. Next, lawful consideration. Consideration must be lawful consideration. There must be consideration. There must be something in return. And both consideration and object must be lawful. No involvement of drugs. Okay. Next, not expressly declared void, like anything, any contract which involves fraudulent activities, illegal things, causing injury to the people are expressly declared invalid by the law. Okay, you cannot enter into that type of contracts. Restraint of marriage, restraint of trade, restraint of legal proceedings are the classic examples for this type. Okay, I think you would have enjoyed this first class. Let us making this classes more and more. We'll see you later. Okay, bye. Thank you so much for today's class.